time for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Fresh edition of the PJ Show on this Friday. PGIF, we made it. Patrick Johnson alongside Philip the Ref Pilkington, and we're going to have Matt Semenza with us here in just a minute. Plus, our top 5 at 5 for a Friday, and it is a victory Friday for ECU. Bouncing back on the short turnaround and beating Army by the count of 28-26. You know, I was actually, and we'll get Matt here in a second, but I want to bring Pilk in if you got a second, Pilk. You know, look, I'm impressed mainly with the way that ECU did 2 things in that game. Well, 3 things. One, that's the most important thing, and one, on a short turnaround, they actually, for all of the talking about we didn't have time to plan for how to deal with the option like we have traditionally, since we had a new defense we were installing this year in the offseason. I thought they handled everything beautifully. They're tackling a little arm tackly at the beginning, but I thought they shored that up, and they were the more physical team, which is, if you can do that against the service academy, boy, you've really accomplished something.
You have.
And then I'm not. I don't mind the running of the ball. I understand, you know, they felt at the time 21 points was, I don't say maybe enough, but certainly the way Army's offense couldn't get out of gear, that it was, you know, maybe enough to do something, or at least enough to kind of put yourself in a position to win. The thing that made no sense to me, and Pilk, you'll be very proud of me, I actually watched every snap of the game. I'm
just proud that you stayed up that late. Now, I'm not just proud that you watched every snap, because if it would have started earlier, I think you definitely would have done that. My thing with you is staying up that late. I'm proud.
What I usually do is make it to halftime, and then I'll go back and watch the second half later on. I watched every snap of the game live as it happened. That's what I should say.
There you go.
And so here's what was exciting, Bill, or what I had a hard time understanding. Okay, I get you want to run the ball, and we can have a discussion with Semenza here in a minute about offensive creativity and red zone issues, and I mean, those are abound. But to me, the thing that I sort of don't understand is, why are you running the ball to shorten the game, yet you're trying to snap it every 10 seconds? I mean, huddle, take your time, get to the line, look over to the side. Don't get so that made no sense to me, and maybe Semenza will help me understand that. I'll say this: it was a feeling of old Greenville yesterday. It was a feeling of back in the day when the P-Man was going to school, or in the early 2000s during the skip hole. It was that kind of feel yesterday in Greenville, with Sports Center being there and the palpable excitement. You know, a lot of people are. I thought the crowd for a Thursday night, coming off a loss, was really good. The rain dampened it in the second half, as brief as it was. And the drone show, from what I've seen on video, looked like it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. So, no, I thought it was a really good crowd. You know, the numbers weren't maybe there, but it was about what you expect for Thursday night. But I thought the energy was definitely there. And, you know, when you bring up and we'll let Semenza get a little more into it than me, because he would know a little better. But I think the reason why they were still up tempo is, when they were slowing down, Army seemed to be successful. And keeping them on their heels, they seemed a little gassed. That was the point of going up tempo. And then I get your point, you could still throw the ball more, but then they wanted to at least counter that by keeping the clock running. Also, it felt like ECU struggled to run the ball early in the game. And not that they were really opening things up immensely late, but like you said, they were the more physical team. They were winning the point of attack. That's what was working. Why put the ball in harm's way throwing it? As good as Caton's stats were, where he averaged 16.4 yards per attempt and over 11 yards per completion, it still didn't feel like there was a lot of flow in the ability to pass the football. I thought the running, despite not being as consistent, still had a lot of flow. And then, you know, so that might have been more the reason, as well as, you know, like you said, it kind of burned the clock, but you were going full tempo, or, you know, up tempo. But yeah, it seemed like Army was a little on their heels when they went tempo. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Good point. Let's bring in our guest, contributor to the Sports Objective podcast. He was an ECU linebacker in the late 90s. He is Matt Semenza, joins us. Welcome to the Patrick Johnson Show. Nice to have you on. You know, when we were talking about getting you on last week and we decided, okay, well, let's get him on after the Army game, you never know how those Thursday night short turnaround games are going to go. And I'll be honest, I thought Army would have come in a little more buttoned up than they were. That's a big work in progress up in West Point right now, it seems. And I think eventually they're going to win their share of games this year, but nothing like they did last year. But anyway, Matt, welcome to the program. Let's just get some initial thoughts on a Pirate victory.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Patrick. Always excited to talk Pirate football. And, my initial thoughts, listen, anytime you, on a short week, have a win, especially in conference, that's a great thing. We've really struggled over the years, in particular against the academies guys. So just really thrilled to see our defense play the way we did last night. I thought we were very physical. I thought the pads were popping. The safeties like Teagan Wilk and Riddle were really popping people, and that was good to see. Obviously offensively, there's a lot to clean up from last night, but on a short week for a team like Army that was averaging 30 points a game coming in and really only an inch away from being 3-0. That's a team that won down in Kansas State a few weeks ago. It's a really solid opening conference win.
Matt Semenza with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show today. Now, that's the other point of this. Not only is it a win against a really national brand team, but I also think the fact that you're 1-0 in conference, and you can't be 2-0 in conference and have a chance to be 2-0 in conference if you don't go 1-0 in the league. And let's face it, for all of the failings and all of the critiques of the playoff system, you're still in this thing. Maybe it's just on paper, but after last night, you're still in this thing. So, and look, I'm not at all trying to suggest this is an ECU team that will win the conference championship. But I mean, mathematically, on paper, you're still in this thing. And outside of Tulane and Memphis, there's nobody that jumps out to me right now on the schedule. Sure, anybody can beat you on any given time, but there's nobody that jumps out as, boy, we better be buttoned up. So, oddly enough, one of those teams we better be buttoned up against is Tulane, and that's coming up next time out. But you got a couple weeks to prepare. Let me ask you this, Matt. I'm rambling on here a little bit, but I want to chop it up with you from the standpoint of when you look at offensively, what are the issues right now that just have got to get cleaned up? What has maybe led to the inability to be as productive in the red zone? It just looks like a different team when they get from either the extended red or the 20-yard line on in.
Yeah, Patrick, I think that's a great question. I think that's what all Pirate fans are kind of wondering today. And I really believe there's a little bit of an internal conflict going on between what JDB really wants to do with this offense, which is run the ball effectively and then create explosive plays off of the run, versus what we're really what we're capable of as a team. And, when you look at what we are up front, we're not a great run blocking team, but we are very good in pass pro. So I think there's a little bit of an internal conflict going on there between what he wants to do and what we can do. All right. I think for whatever reason, offensively, we are really insistent this year on running the football. And it's becoming a little bit of a question mark for me, because if you look at the Coastal game and then you look at the game last night versus Army, we should have had both of those games finished at halftime. I mean, we should have had those games completely put away by halftime. But there seems to be an insistence right now on running the football. And I think, from my perspective, what I'd like to see is just, hey, we don't have to force the run. Let's get the ball to our playmakers, right? Let's get the ball to guys like Yannick Smith on the outside and let him make plays. I mean, Yannick is a guy who's 6'3" with about a 40-inch vertical leap. And if you throw jump balls to him in the red zone, I don't see many corners beating him out for the play or beating him out for the ball. So I think there's things we can do just to get our playmakers more involved and not trying to force the run so much.
I think that was what was disappointing to me is it looked really easy on 3 possessions, and you were pushing the ball downfield vertically. You were mixing in the run. You were getting a good burst on your run plays. You were getting positive yardage and that kind of thing. But it was the passing game that allowed you to race out. And again, I understand, okay, we want to shorten this game because we know Army's going to burn a lot of time. A 3-touchdown lead against Army, if you're on top of your game defensively like ECU seemed to be last night. Again, my only problem was more downfield with the arm tackling defensively that Army took advantage of early and were able to get some plays. Anyway, I say all this to say you're right. Put this thing away by halftime. You should have been up 30. Well, let's say you get 2 field goals out of that. And that's another topic for this segment. But 27-zip, you should have been up at halftime. 30-0. I mean and that's legitimately where you probably should have been at halftime. 31-0, something like that. Maybe even 38-zip. Just to me, maybe got a little too conservative with the play call. And I think only 7 pass attempts in the second half. And again, I strategically, I understand the situation, but you have that advantage, especially downfield, with your physical and athletic receivers against their guys in the secondary. And it wasn't even it was almost like the varsity versus the JV in that. So I guess I'm just a little disappointed that wasn't exploited for a longer period of time. And maybe Army did some things to take that away. I don't know. You would know better than me. But it just seemed like that was there on 3 possessions, and Army was reeling.
Oh, I think that's a great point, Patrick. And I totally agree. I think, you really have to play to your strengths as a team. And when I look at our team offensively, your strengths are, number one, pass protection with the offensive line, Hauser as a quarterback, and then your weapons on the outside, Anthony Smith, Yannick. I think Brock Spalding has had a tremendous year so far. So we have enough weapons where I don't really think you have to be too insistent on just running the ball up the middle. And I felt the same way, Patrick, when we played Coastal a few weeks ago. I felt like we could have gotten whatever we wanted in the passing game. And I was a little surprised we kind of took the ball out of the air and we're just so determined to run it. So, again, I think it's this sort of this internal conflict right now between what JDB really wants to do versus what we can do. And I think they really need to take a look at that over the next few weeks, especially with the bye week coming up and another big conference game versus Tulane. I think they need to shore some things up a little bit. I also think the tempo, Patrick, it's great to go fast. That's what this offensive system is based on. It's based on going fast, getting up to the line and snapping the ball. But there's also a fine line there between going fast and making sure you can execute at that pace. And I think there were a few situations last night. If you look at Caton Hauser's interception, I think we were right around the 35-yard line or so when he threw that interception, if I'm not mistaken. But you could tell there was some confusion offensively. We weren't quite lined up properly. And that pace, I think, sort of forced us into that mistake. I thought that was a good spot for Blake to call a timeout, just get the guys settled in a little bit, and then, hey, we go back out on the field and execute. So I think that pace can work for you, but it can work against you if you don't execute it.
We got Matt Semenza on the Patrick Johnson Show today as we talk Pirate football and a victory. It's great to be able to do all this complaining when you win. That's the good part about the situation. I want to ask you about the fake field goal. Man, what a call that was.
It was an awesome call. I mean, I'll tell you, I was watching it at home, Patrick. I was completely faked out. I had no idea that was coming. And very creative. I think we've seen some good creativity this year out of the special teams. You go back to NC State with the fake punt and now the fake field goal, which was pretty awesome to see. We really executed well. And the timing of it was perfect because never at any point did it cross my mind that we were going to fake that field goal. So I think we faked out, obviously, Army pretty well, but everybody in the stadium. And when you execute those plays, I mean, that was a dagger. I mean, that really put the game out of reach. And It was fun to see. It was, and I really like that the kid who scored there, Pearson, transferred in from Oklahoma State, and he's a smaller guy, but man, is he quick, and he took it to the house.
I think I saw somebody post online or on socials. It was Logan-esque, after the guy you played for. And in many ways, it was. I'm kind of like you. I was just happy. It was like, it's about damn time. We're going to have a field goal, and instead of trying to run 4 downs here, and I just think a fantastic play call. And I think it does this too. I think it puts on film, and this is so important, another special teams situation that the next opponent, Tulane in particular, is going to have to be ready for. So to me, yes. I think that, it's great that you executed it for a score. Awesome when that's the case. I mean, if you got a first down, that's even, I think, would have fired everybody up.
It worked out perfectly in that situation.
Yeah, it worked out the best it possibly could have. And I think just a great call. And no, Pearson, good grief. That guy's a blazer. And I love that the coach, chest bumped him and knocked him down and knocked his helmet off. That was great.
That is always great to see when you see the coaches on the sideline get fired up. And, the players really feed off that, Patrick. Like, when you get a coach like that that's fired up on the sideline, the players love that. Like, I always love when a coach kind of got in my face and brought a little energy and excitement. And the players feed off that. So I think that was really cool to see. Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the defense. Again, I thought physical at the point of attack like they needed to be. The passing game, I don't think I've seen Army throw that much in a game, ever. And it's not like I watch every Army football game, but it just seems like they passed for them an inordinate amount of attempts. And they had the occasion in the first half on the same drive, I think, where the guy, if he'd made the catch, might have been off to the house for 6. So, there was some breaks there, but that's kind of the way it is. The thing that was a little disappointing to me, I guess, was the fact that the passing game was able to find some holes. That might have been just how they were trying to defend Army. Again, you would know better than me on that. And then I didn't think early on, it got better as the game went on, but I didn't think early on ECU did a really good job of wrapping up Army if they got to the second level.
Yeah, there were definitely some missed tackles there you'd want back. But I'll tell you what, man, I two principles that I have as a defensive guy anytime you play an academy or an option-based team. Number one, first down defense has to be on point because, if a team's ripping off 5 or 6 yards on first down and, you look at Army and Navy, if they can get in 3rd and short or 4th and short, because everything's 4-down territory for them, they're going to have a lot of success. So I thought the first down defense was outstanding. We were able to put them in situations where it was 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, and then you force them into doing things that they're not comfortable doing, which is throwing the ball. And I thought early on they found some holes in the defense, but I thought we adjusted to that pretty well. And then my second principle playing an option team is when you have a chance to hit the quarterback, and I'm talking clean hits, of course, like nothing dirty, but you have to be physical with the quarterback. And I thought our guys were really coming downhill last night, popping the quarterback. If you looked at Army's, the second quarterback that came in the fourth quarter, he took heavy punishment. I mean, there was one point where I think he was like wanted to come off the field because we were flying downhill and really making him pay for it, which was great to see, so I thought we were by far the more physical team and the more athletic team. And with all, Patrick, I joke around. I always say, like, when you look at the struggles we've had, especially against like Navy and the academies, I always joke around. I say, I'd rather play Alabama than Navy or Army at this point. So, but it was fun. It was fun to see an ECU team that physical against an option style team and hold them to 6 points. I mean, that's a huge win right there for us.
Well, yeah, it's, and I realize they gave up a lot of, 34 to BYU, but I mean, you look at 3 of the last 4 games, you've got a shutout, 3 points, and 6 points allowed. That's in this day and age, that's really pretty good. Tulane's got Tulsa this weekend. I saw them play Duke a couple of weeks ago. Jake Retzlaff, the BYU QB that transferred in for his reasons, leaving BYU. But to me, I just think that he's such a difference maker to already a talented lineup. So, obviously they've got a game ahead of them, and then they will have the turnaround to take on the Pirates in a couple of weeks. So, when you look at going into that game, what will be the things you would like to see ECU work on and concentrate on over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I think that the bye week comes at a great time, Patrick, because Tulane, like when I think of Tulane, I think of a very well-coached football team that doesn't beat itself. They're a disciplined team, very well coached, like I said. Now, one thing about Tulane that I'm really thinking could work in our advantage, they really got hammered last week against Ole Miss. And I was not expecting that. I didn't think they'd win the game, but I thought they'd keep it around 10 points, and they got hammered. Guess who runs the same style offense as East Carolina? Ole Miss. So I think there's a lot we can take on film that will be successful offensively for us against Tulane, and you have obviously a few weeks to incorporate that. And I think it just comes at a good time, the bye week, because all these things we talked about tonight with going fast and tempo and turnovers, you can really clean up a lot of those things in the next couple of weeks. So, but it's going to be a tall order. It's a tough task. Anytime you go down there and play against a well-coached team like that, you have to be on point. And we're going to need to make plays. And I think the big thing, Patrick, is we've got to stop these red zone turnovers. If we're going to beat a team like that on the road, it just can't happen. I mean, it's just that simple. You can't turn the ball over in the red zone and have a chance to win.
Matt Semenza, ECU linebacker in the mid-'90s and now part of the Sports Objective podcast. Is that Sunday nights? You guys will be back on Sunday with a fresh episode?
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. We do a post-game show on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, which can be found on YouTube, Facebook, X. Great show. I think we really try to analyze the game and break it down. So I enjoy doing that. And like I said, anytime I could talk about Pirate football, it's a good thing. So, yeah, we appreciate that mention.
We'll get you back on here, Matt, sometime down the road. Hope you'll come back. Great to have you on. Really appreciate the time here. And, again, it's always great anytime you can talk a win on a Friday after a quick, short week Thursday night game. ECU's had some mixed bag success in that. And, anytime you can beat one of the service academies, even better. So there you go. Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Patrick. Anytime. Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right. Great job there by Matt Semenza. Really analyzed it well. Awesome to have him on. All right. Let's hit a break. Look, we're going to do top 5 when we come back.
Yes, we are.
All right. Top 5 and 5 on the Patrick Johnson Show. Get you to the weekend Friday edition.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
Ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Okay, welcome back to the program. Great to have Matt Semenza on. Doc, is it just you today, or do we have an intern? Or
No, just me. Flying solo on this Friday.
all right, here we go. By the way, I want to give a shout out before we stop the top 5 here. We will not have Rose football tonight. They are in the idle week. Same thing with Edenton over on 103.7 WTIB. So an off week for Kick His Ass Tommy Bass. We love that. Good man. But big matchup tonight on our sister station, 94.1 and 102.7. Also, you can hear it. It'll be Havelock, who just got their first win last week, taking on Croatan. Croatan is undefeated for the first time ever in their school history at this point in the year. They're off to their best start ever.
Nice.
So my guy Trevor Donnell and Danny Webster, former Ram and former Pirate.
I'll be hanging out here listening to it. I'm in charge of running the board tonight, so I'll be hanging out in the studio.
That's a fun announced team because Trevor's
It is.
Such a good guy and Webster's quirky and boy, they love Trevor up there at Havelock. I was there a couple weeks ago.
You know, you make Webster, you talk about quirky. He's like quirky and knowledgeable. He knows how to like flip the switch. Like when it's time to tell a joke and be a little witty and quirky, he does it. And then when he needs to like lock in and do an analysis, he just flips the switch immediately and boom. And he's, great announcing.
So next week, a couple of things before we do the top 5 here. Some house cleaning. We will have a show on Monday, but it will be a show that we will have recorded earlier in the day. It'll be a new show, but we will not be live at Tiebreakers for the PJ show. It'll still be on. We'll still have Tiebreakers inside Pirate Athletics at 6, but just because of some scheduling things and the production side of our company, will be a little earlier in the day. So it'll air at 5 o'clock, as it always does, on all of our digital outlets and on the radio, most importantly, and on the app. But we will have, as a result, doesn't look like we're going to have Jim Zoki that day. And we're working on a couple of guests. So just check socials over the weekend, mine or the stations, or both, and both, and you can check that out. We'll let you know how that goes. Normal show times and show dates on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Thursday preempted, and then back next Friday. Friday will be interesting next week because Rose and South Central are playing in the first conference game in football. but also that is the weekend where they're kind of culminating and celebrating the 50th anniversary and commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Rose State Championship team from '75. So we'll have some guests possibly next week on all of that. So we've got a kind of a clean slate with an open week. And again, Inside Pirate Athletics will air as it normally does on Monday. All right, let's do our Bobby Beep Beep Bop 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 countdown. Here we go.
Number one.
Well, the number one thing is the Pirates, 28-6 victors over the Army Black Knights, improved to 1-0 in conference play. And the big story, the fake field goal called by the very gutsy Blake Harrell. This is how he got his job, baby, being a gutsy head coach. We love it. And he takes us through that decision and what led to it during his post-game comments with Macy O'Donnell.
A little close there. I think it was the first one was a fourth and 3 or so from the 40, and the analytics tell you to go for it. And you just kind of you play the analytics, play the odds a lot, and you don't want to punt it and just have a 20-yard punt. So you go for it there, get a stop, and then we have a 4th and 1 down there inside the 20, I believe, and go for it as well and get stuffed. And I said if it comes up a third time, we ain't paying attention to that book. We're gonna freaking kick the field goal. So I knew we had the field goal try there. It was obviously going to be a long one. You didn't want to give them anything cheap, them block a field goal and have a chance to return it for an easy score. I didn't really want to punt it for 10 yards or 15 yards or whatever it was there. So I knew we had the fake field goal in our pocket, and Kyler Pearson, we slid him in there.
It's a great call. I think the call of the night, and really came at a time where things had really gotten bogged down in the mud, and you put it away with that play. Great to see Pearson. Man, that guy can fly, can't he?
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking he's going to break a punt at some point.
He will break a punt at some point. He might not. I think people now, the book may be out on this guy now.
Yeah, sure. If we hadn't returned a punt for... Yeah. And we hadn't returned one for a touchdown in 21 years, so it ain't going to happen now.
Well, you don't know, but he's a candidate. He's eligible to do it, but I think he individually, it's not going to be. He's not sneaking up on anybody now. True. After this, a great call, really was, and it kind of put some excitement in there. One of my frustrations too was a couple of those drives you can end them with, and I understand the analytics of it. It was also interesting last night, and I'm assuming you were in the studio.
I was,
for the game. So, you were probably a little bit watching and listening. I just watched last night on TV, didn't listen to any of the radio. I usually listen to a lot of the radio broadcasts, but still, it was interesting that, to me, when it's 21-6, Army elects to go for 2.
That was odd.
That call. And, on TV, I guess the statistician for those guys on the Thursday night also does the stats for Monday Night Football. And he said, well, at this juncture in the game, you get your first score, the book, if you will, the analytics, if you say go for 2, because, your kick versus a 2-point conversion. But he's talking about the NFL, where the kick is longer, where the kick's like a field goal. And to me at the time, you're not chasing points. Now, it ended up not mattering. But I also do think it took a little wind out of the sails of Army. I should say it doesn't matter because I really think that maybe stymied some of their momentum.
I think that analytics stuff is bullcrap. When you're down by 14, you score a touchdown, just kick the darn extra point. I know we were talking about 21 here. And I understand the Coach Loganism when you're on the road at a big-time school, you're a little group of 5 school. That's different too. But in the NFL, when you're down by 14, you score a touchdown, just kick the darn extra point. Quit all this analytics crap. Why are we turning a chess match into a math? Come on, football ain't math, it's chess.
Football ain't math, it's chess. The wit and wisdom of Philip.
Number 2.
Well, we're going to stick with the Pirates, and we're going to go a little over to the hoops side of things. yesterday, of course, the day that, we've got this big home football game, the day that ESPN is here, SportsCenter's at Subdogs, that's when they release the conference schedule. So, Pirate basketball conference schedule is out. Just a couple quick highlights. They will open the conference slate at home against Tulane on New Year's Eve. Notable games at Charlotte will be on December the 18th. And home against Charlotte on Sunday, December the 18th. They will be at Charlotte on February 21st. Notable here, only one weekend home game once college baseball starts. So I do like that. It'll probably be during the LeClaire Classic, unfortunately. But a lot of those weekends where we're playing those early home series of baseball, a lot of road games for basketball. So I kind of like that. The midweek home game, you can go to basketball, and you can still go to baseball and not have to pick and choose.
Is that on a Sunday?
The Charlotte game at home, yes. That is a Sunday, the week of the divisional round of the playoffs.
Okay. Well, that's all right. I'm talking about the LeClaire week you're speaking about.
Oh, yes, it is the Sunday of the LeClaire Classic, correct.
Okay. I don't like the fact that we don't get a lot of Saturday games. It seems like the second year in a row that there are not a lot of Saturday home games. And as someone who is got the charge of calling these games, it'd be nice to actually do these games on Saturday and not on a day where I'm working for the 17th and 18th hour in that day.
Yeah.
Or and those Sunday games, frankly, and unfortunately, for me, unfortunately, wind up on ESPN Linear a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because, they're going, as you say, up against the playoffs and that kind of thing. Notable to me is they are opening at home for conference play. So I think that's good.
When's the last time that happened? And Tulane never wins here. Knock on wood.
No. Knock on wood. Look at you, Pilk, throwing the jinx in. So, I like that idea. My guess, because what is New Year's Eve? A Wednesday? I think that it is going to – it could be a night game. I think it could be a night game, but it could be an afternoon game. I think a lot of it depends on what's going on, obviously, on the sports calendar that day.
I think the issue is that night, though, the Pirate football team's going to be playing in the college football playoff quarterfinals that night.
Good point.
At I don't remember what bowl game it is. Yeah.
Right. Well, but I think you've got, assuming something like that were to happen, wouldn't that be amazing? They might could play that game at any time. And I don't know, just maybe smacks of an afternoon game.
I would like an afternoon game.
I think it could be an afternoon
like
game.
A 2 in the afternoon. I kind of like those
2 or 3.
Around the holidays this season.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
So, there we go.
Give everybody a chance to go watch some basketball. But anyway, I think that's important. Another game that I would circle on the calendar for the conference, Philip, is, and I believe it's a Sunday, March 1st, Memphis in Greenville.
Tigger's coming to town. Yeah, March 1st, that's right.
Yep.
And that is a Sunday.
To me, that's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting one. Because everything I'm seeing early season has Memphis the prohibitive favorite again to win the American and be the AQ.
Well, and
last year.
Yeah, reminder, if you're an out-of-town Pirate fan, perfect weekend to come into town. That should be the LeClaire Classic weekend because that would be the third weekend of college baseball. Usually it's home, Cupcake University, the series against Carolina, LeClaire Classic. So I'm hoping that is LeClaire Classic weekend, and you can come into town, catch some great baseball, and go over and catch a basketball game as well.
With Penny. Penny coming to town.
If he ain't fired by then.
And he won't be. Unless something crazy happens. My guess is there'll be a push to get that at noon or 1.
On like ESPN 2.
Yeah, on one of the linears, and so it shouldn't conflict with the final day of that LeClaire event. All right, so that's anything else with the basketball schedule?
No, that was pretty much it. And we could go through every game, but I have time.
Well, there's plenty of time for that.
Yeah. 3. Number 3. We bring her up a lot, but former Pirate Maeve English has been nominated for the NCAA's Woman of the Year. Each conference gets to nominate one female student athlete who is exceptional on and off the field and in the classroom, and she has been nominated.
Well, I was thrilled to see this for a number of reasons. One, Maeve is a friend of the show, and she is a pirate in the pros now.
Yeah.
Playing overseas in Greece, and apparently the team and she are doing quite well from what I can gather. I don't understand the Greek language, but I'm just basing this on what I'm seeing on the socials. So, yeah, I think everything's going really, really well with that. By the way, Pilk, speaking of soccer, we try to get Coach Emily on Wednesday.
Okay.
I talked to her about that on Monday. Let's see if we can get her on Wednesday. And we can do it any time, but I'll let you work on that since you and Cole are often debating politics, but also scheming on other things. So,
yeah.
I think this is great. Boy, what an honor this would be. Do we know when the award will be handed out?
I did not see that. I read some of the article and then I
never saw that in anything I read. I glanced over the article in full and then, but I think it's amazing for Maeve to be receiving this honor. Great. I mean, there's only like 25 goaltenders in all of the NCAA history that played as many minutes as she played.
Yep.
It's her and 24 others. So I think that's pretty remarkable. And the other thing, all the stuff that she did academically, her athletic prowess, but then all the involvement she had in doing different community things. And I'd forgotten this until I read it, but Maeve basically has her degree in being an engineer.
Not surprised.
So, I mean, Maeve's a smart. I remember her telling us that last year when we had her on the coaches show.
Yeah, I was just looking it up. Yeah, they her team got a 5-0 victory to open the season last weekend. They play again this Sunday at 5 a.m. Bright and early.
I might be up for that.
444.
Commissioner Tim Pernetti joined the pregame show yesterday, and he talked about we asked him about the American possibly going to a 9-game conference slate. A little bit of a lengthy soundbite here, but he starts it, kind of talks about other conferences, comes full circle. So I think this is important as it relates to the future of Pirate football scheduling.
So we did raise it just recently, the idea of moving to a 9-league game schedule. We talked about FCS opponents and what the future of that should be in our league, because we want to try to continue to create more competitive depth in our league. And we really do have competitive depth. This year is no better example just in week 5. But we have started talking about it. And honestly, what's going to happen with the American? I think our performance against the autonomy guys is not going to help us a whole lot, right? Because we're getting out there and we're winning a lot of these games. And while that's great for us and it really shines the light on the sort of the grit and the competitive depth of the league, I think that will have people maybe more wary to schedule us. But the reality is, like, I'm hearing rumors about games not getting canceled, but getting pushed out a little further. Yeah. And then you wake up the last 3 days and you see that North Texas is going to Indiana next year and you're going to have that game on the books. And then you see, Charlotte scheduled LSU. Like, there's games that are still actually actively getting scheduled. Yep. So I think we're going to be fine. But I do think it's an opportunity with a 14-team league to look at it and say, all right, given that we're deeper and we have 11 teams now at 500 or better in week 5, is it time to go to the 9-game schedule to create more competition inside the league?
What is interesting about that is John Gilbert said on Monday when we interviewed him for Inside Pirate Athletics, or when I interviewed him for Inside Pirate Athletics, he basically said he is against a 9th conference game. And the ECU perspective, at least from John's point of view on this, is you're bringing in a conference opponent for a home game, potentially, that is not going to travel very well historically, because you're going to have Charlotte on the schedule every year, and that's going to be an every other year home and home. They'll bring some people, but really nobody else in this conference traditionally brings a lot of people. Now, you had a lot of military guys there last night from the different installations as well, because it was Army. And you see that with Navy as well. And if you play them on the weekend, you're probably more apt to have some of those guys and girls from the military installations that surround Greenville show up for the game. So you'll sell some extra tickets there in conference. But outside of Charlotte, and I don't even know how much you sell with Charlotte, you're not really going to sell a lot of extra tickets unless somebody's having a truly magical year and they have captured the imagination of their fan base. And it's not going to be like a BYU situation where they had a couple of sections at least sold fully with tickets and then had fans kind of throughout the thing. So to me, I understand John's perspective. My only caveat to the ECU no vote on that would be if it helps with the TV deal.
Yeah.
If providing that inventory, then it doesn't matter what the vote is. If it could get more money into the TV coffers because you're providing more, but I don't know if that necessarily helps the TV deal.
No, I'm with you.
If it doesn't, don't schedule the 9th game and try to. Now, if scheduling becomes problematic, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the FCS game. I know a lot of people poo-poo on those FCS games as much, but it allows East Carolina in particular, especially over the next several years, to have an additional home date.
Yeah. So I think I get where you're coming from, and I agree with you. And even Commissioner Pernetti in another comment mentioned East Carolina's fan base and how that it is the best fan base in the conference, and he wasn't just blowing smoke. That it's an SEC environment here. Maybe you've only got half the amount of people, but still the town. He mentioned the place the hotel he was staying at. The little free coffee cups were purple and gold. And just how it feels like an SEC town, and how we need to get more teams in the conference to be like that. So I think he is aware of that. But again, if you're struggling to schedule games, like you said, but I think Commissioner Pernetti is so proactive, so forward thinking. I think he might be a little more being reactive with this one thing. Again, trying to stay at 8, trying to get those big opponents like Alabama. But if you're struggling, then hey, you know what? We got to adapt. We got to change our mind.
Well. To me, the thing about this Pilk is, again, we look at a lot of this, or at least I do, through a lot of East Carolina lenses. Because the ACC is in the posture there, and you're not going to be able to schedule necessarily those regional, but you might be able to get to go do some more pay games at a Big Ten or an SEC. Mm-hmm. And I have no problem with that either. I mean, that dots our schedule several times in the non-conference the next few years. I know we got to go. So
5.
By the way, Coach Swartz will be with us on Monday.
Sweet. Confirmed. All right. Well, I'll tell Zoki he's off the hook.
Yeah, Mike Swartz will be our guest on Monday, so that'll be good. There'll be a week into preseason practice, and we'll have a phoner. My guess would be with Coach Swartz.
Dang it. Well, this one, right? Well, no, good for Coach Swartz. I'm wishing 5 we'd had more time, because this would have been a fun topic. Tay-Tay has turned down the Super Bowl halftime show because they're refusing to pay her, which they don't normally pay the halftime guest, and also because she cannot go in there and promote all of her stuff, which is what she wanted to do. And they said, no, our sponsors only, and you got to abide by our rules. We want you. And she said no. So
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Promote her next tour, have the tour dates. I think is the kind of the way it was explained. I know the article didn't go into exact details, but it said promoting her own brand.
Can't you just put up a QR code of her on the screen?
Yeah, but they want a QR code for their sponsors. For who's it now? Apple or something?
I don't know. Here is what I will say about this. You all can talk all of the jive you want about Taylor Swift is this and Taylor Swift is that. She's not bigger than the Shield, baby.
No.
That brand is not bigger than the Shield. I'll tell you how big the NFL is when it comes to these performing artists, Pilk. In Detroit, the year the Stones played, Keith Richards didn't smoke. When is the last time Keith Richards didn't smoke a cigarette while playing guitar for a Rolling Stones show?
Exactly.
It's because it was the NFL that didn't smoke. All right, we're coming back to wrap it up right after
this. This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you.
Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker's way.
At Parker's, our mission is to impact our customers through Christ-like service in a way that feeds them both physically and spiritually. That is the Parker's way.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
And now, the stunning conclusion. Why is everyone screaming? On 94.3 The Game.
I just read what you said.
That's entertainment. I feel bad for our guy B Baby.
Yeah, Ben B Baby, fire him. You have an open invite. You can come back anytime you want. I just read the other one. Oh God, that's hysterical. All right, big thanks to Matt Semenza. He was good, wasn't he? I thought he did a great job. Bill.
Oh, that was wonderful. I love anytime we can get a former player on that's insightful and is not afraid to, the guys who are just out of the program sometimes a little bit, they have to walk on a little eggshells, but yeah, no.
So Semenza was good. You can check him out on the Sports Objective. I like Dave Richmond a lot. And so those guys will be on at 8 o'clock on Sunday night. Check them out. Thanks to Pilk. And we'll have Mike Swartz on Monday. How about that? Looking forward to that on the Patrick Johnson Show. Coming your way, plus a weekend, out of the weekend, top 5. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right, enjoy your weekend. Stay dry. Looks like we're going to have a lot of rain over the next several days. We'll see you on Monday morning for Talk of the Town, and then back here, the Patrick Johnson Show, a fresh edition. Tiebreakers next Monday.